because allegations of corruption have once again cast a shadow over Ghana's computerized school placement system. This time, the General Secretary of the Construction and Building Materials Workers Union, Richard Amoah, is blowing the whistle on what he calls a bribery syndicate operating within the placement unit. Speaking exclusively with our labor correspondent, Daniel Poku, he explained that some of the officers are collecting between 20,000 Ghana cedis to 35,000 cedis to repost students to their preferred schools. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education is set to invite the General Secretary to corroborate this allegation and help with investigations. There's more on this report.
See, 20 years ago, this computer placement came into being. And I believe the idea was to let people have admission at their schools so that there will be no problem. But rather, this is bringing a problem onto the parents. This is because people know, and I believe as I speak now, others can testify that there is a lot of robbery, I will call it robbery, going on at the education level. Why am I saying this? A worker has passed all right. He has had a very good result to be placed very well. And now the worker, the student will be placed at a different school altogether. And now, the parents of the child will be told to pay a wholesome amount of 20,000 and above. Abba, what is happening in our country? But personally, I have evidence to some of these things. But another way around, I've been cautioned by the parents that, look, we are afraid if you don't take time and you mention us, they are going to hate our child. And we don't want that to happen.
So that's an interview we had with the General Secretary of the Construction and Building Materials Workers Union, Richard Amoah, giving indications that he actually has evidence to the fact of bribery when it comes to the school placement. Let's speak to Dr. Peter Pate Anti of iFirst. He's joined us on phone for a chat on this. Doc, good evening and thank you for your time.
Good evening, Martin.
You work very closely in the education space. Is there any truth to this allegation of bribery when it comes to the school placement?
Well, there's been a lot of allegations of bribery in the school placement. I think about a year or two ago, one of your sister media stations did an investigative piece on this. What is difficult to ascertain is that this seems to be a demand and supply issue. So it's difficult to know who is offering the bribe and who is taking the bribe. And that is why anybody who is able to come out with evidence to ascertain these allegations will be something that will be helpful for all of us and the ministry in particular, because we will need to know and have evidence to be able to deal with this issue of bribery in the school placement.
Many would have thought that computerizing the process of school placement should have actually done away with these human interface and the fact that even corruption would be part of the conversation. Is it that we are not executing the school placement system properly, for which reason these allegations keep coming every year?
It's because in our part of the world, technology creates more problem than it is supposed to do. Actually, normally you see technology helping to solve complex problems. But in our part of the world, anytime you apply technology, it seems that our problems compound. And that is exactly what we are experiencing with the school placement. I think that there is not enough will to deal with this issue, because for me, I suspect that the people who are benefiting from the challenges and the problem of the computer placement system are not willing or not ready to help solve the problem. Because if you are not benefiting from the confusion and all those things that surrounds it, I think you'll be eager to help deal with the issue. But since it's been around all these years and the challenges keep compounding and escalating, I think that the people who can solve this are not so much willing to do so, because there might be other reasons that are best known to them. But for me, I think we should be able to deal with this issue with the kind of will and desire, so that as we move forward, we will not be having this challenge. Today, I heard that there are serious chaos in Kumasi Resolution Center. I still don't understand the reason why we continue to put our parents in this particular situation. And I believe that any conversation that we are having now should be looking into 2026. We shouldn't come back and just have a similar conversation and reiterate all the challenges that we are talking about now. People who have been mandated to solve these things should be able to sit down, take stock, and then make sure that the system is improved going into 2026.
It's interesting you talk about a supply and demand vacuum that has been created. And, most parents around this time become frantic, where they fear their wards may not get the right schools, quote unquote. And the right is actually dependent on who you ask, which school you think is right for your ward. But in that, it means that if we are to find a solution to it, we are not looking at just those who supervise the computer placement system, but parents as well. What role do you think that they have to play when we are trying to find a holistic solution to this problem?
I think the parents, most of them are desperate, and you can think about it from this perspective. You have a ward, you want the best for the ward, and the child has finished his basic education, and he's supposed to go into secondary school, and he's not getting any school, or he's not getting a school that he has selected, and that school was selected because the parents and the child, and maybe sometimes the teachers, were anticipating that the child would do well. So that is the premise, that the assumption that was used to select the school. And the results come, and maybe the child does not fit in the first choice, the second choice, or the third choice. You, the parents, will be desperate. And that is why I've said that it's not right for us to put the blame at the doorstep of the parent, because every parent would want the best for the ward. And in doing that, they are vulnerable. They become vulnerable, and people would exploit them. So it is up to the system to fix the challenge, to make sure that the parents have realistic expectations, because the parents might or have seen the performance of the student, have seen the results, the BEC results of the child. He will not go and pick a school that the child would not technically qualify. And that lies at the doorstep of policymakers and the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service. So let's deal with the problem first, and then we can have a conversation with the parents. But when you have not dealt with the problem, the parents you cannot put the problem at the issue at the doorstep of the parent. Because for me, if I have a child who is writing BEC, or he's wrote BEC, his results the same, and he's looking for a school, I will go heaven and earth to ensure that child gets the best of secondary education that I can offer him or her. And that goes for every single parent in this country. So we should not blame the parents. We should blame the system that puts parents in a difficult situation and make them select schools that technically they might not have chosen if they knew what the results, they knew the results the awards were going to get.
That's an interesting way you put it, because, the results of children are usually what we all hope will be good. Then based on that, we select schools. But if we go and do the selection of the schools and then the results come and it's disappointing, that's where the desperation of parents come in, isn't it?
Exactly. You put it perfectly the way I wanted to communicate.
Right.
So deal with that. The system should deal with that, and then we can have a conversation with the parents.
Right.
But so far as I'm selecting a school with an assumption that my ward will qualify, you see, we become emotionally and psychologically attached to those schools. The children would be talking, they have conversation with their colleagues, and they are I'm going to Holy Child, I'm going to Infantry. That emotional attachment is there. And as a parent, when you wake up every morning, you see your ward sitting down, crying, and going through all that psychological challenge because he did not get his first choice or second choice or third choice. Let me tell you, even if you're a Roman father, you'll be moved to make sure that your ward gets the school that he or she deserves. And that is why I will not put the blame on the doorstep of the parents. I would put the blame at the doorstep of the policymaker, who is making it difficult for parents to make realistic selection for their wards.
And finally, before we go, the current structure of the CSSPS, the computer placement, it's been about 20 years since we've been using it. You think the structure or the system itself needs an overhaul, a relook? We need to update it more for probably a lack of a better expression?
You see, if you have studied the whole system, you would note that there's been improvements. There's been the software has been updated. There's been some changes in the selection process. There's been a lot of conversation about sensitization of parents and students and teachers around this. So all these things have been done. What we have not done, and that is why I'm saying that this conversation should feed into 2026. What we have not done is that we have not changed the model of school selection. So if we have done all these things, we've changed the software, we've improved on the system, we've done ABC, we have even changed the managers of the system. From 2008 we did change, 2016 we did change, 2024 we changed the managers of the system, but the problem still persists. It means that there's something extra that we are not doing. So yes, we can have we can try to expand the system, we can have a complete overhaul of the system, but if we do not address the underlying problem of realistic expectation against assumptions, we will still come back to this problem. So we need to do all these things alongside the fact that we need to change the model of school selection and make sure that students are able to select schools after they have seen their performance. That is a big boost to the addressing of the challenge that we are always complaining about.
Doc, thank you so much for your time this evening.
You're welcome, bro.
We've been speaking to Dr. Peter Partey-Anti, who is the Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies, IFEST, and clearly sharing the thoughts on the fact that the current concerns being raised about the school placement system, where there are allegations of bribes being collected for before wards are placed or pupils are placed in the secondary school, is a major national concern, and we need to have a conversation about it. What do you make of this? For those of you whose wards are currently in school, what was the process like for you? Do let us know in the comment section, because we're streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. This is 3FM 92.7. Stay with us. When we return,